Oh, isn't it great to watch the Irish government, Leo Varadkar and co, impaling themselves in the hook of Irish popular opinion on the issue of immigration, criminality and the housing crisis. To hear the government calling Irish people far right is utterly ridiculous. 75%, the mainstream position in Ireland, 75% of the people reject more immigration. They believe that we've had enough of immigrants, enough asylum seekers into Ireland, that's 75%. And the extreme position, the minority position, is that of the government, all the left parties, Sinn Féin, etc., etc. Parties like Irish Freedom Party, we are the mainstream reflecting Irish public opinion, which is opposed to large-scale, unvetted immigration into Ireland. We've simply had enough. Ireland is full. It's very clear when you walk around the streets. Do you know what? We shouldn't be becoming a minority in our own country. This is Ireland. Ireland belongs to us. We belong here. And we are the people who should decide and say when Ireland is full. Nobody else. But it's impossible to do that when we have reckless EU open borders. And anybody who wants to, of 440 million people, can waltz into Ireland tomorrow, and there's nothing that we or the Irish government can do about it because we're in the EU. And the EU doctrine of open borders and free movement means they can all waltz in here. So, oh yeah, but what about Schengen? Sorry. Joseph Puska, who murdered Aisling Murphy, the Slovak Roma, he came waltzed in here with his family, got free everything for 10 years, never worked a single day. His thanks was to murder a beautiful young Irish girl in the prime of her life, and he was never kicked out. So we've got to take back control of our own national democracy, our own borders, our own budgets, and decide for ourselves what is good for the Irish people. Because large-scale, unvetted immigration has huge consequences for the housing market, for people being able to buy a house. It has huge consequences for the safety and security of our country, because there's a causal link between unvetted immigration and criminality, serious crimes. And let's look at a few of the lies and the myths that Varadkar and co have tried to peddle today. One, fact, 1.5 million people have entered into Ireland since 1995. The population of Ireland has increased by 42% since 1995 in less than 30 years. So increased demand pumps up house prices, pumps up rents, and makes it very difficult for Irish people to rent an apartment or to buy a house. That's not good enough for us. There's also a causal link between unvetted immigration and criminality. I gave the very clear example. There's 12 murders of women last year in Ireland. 5 of those were carried out by non-Irish nationals. And all across Europe, especially in Germany and Sweden, you can see where there's been a sharp increase in unvetted immigration, there's been a sharp increase in serious crime and also sexual assault and rape. And let's not be naive and think that we're some outlier. We're not. Another aspect is they say there's a rule-based programme in Ireland. Not true. Remember last year Helen McEntee introduced Amnesty? An amnesty for 17,000 people who were here illegally. So they could get citizenship, a pathway to citizenship for people. You get rewarded by the Minister of Justice for acting illegally in Ireland. That is absolutely disgusting and very dangerous. Because how many people came in here without any records, acted illegally, and then they get rewarded for acting illegally? That's not on. Deportations. How many people were deported? There's supposed to be a process, they say. But only, according to Gript, in November of this year, only 4% of deportation orders signed by the minister were actually acted on, and people were deported, physically deported out of our country. This whole idea of voluntary deportation is a joke. Imagine you got a tax demand and it was a voluntary tax demand. Do you think you would pay it? Of course you wouldn't. You would only pay it and you'd only leave the country if there's consequences if you don't, or if you're physically taken and put outside the country. Another aspect to say about, but we know these unvetted people who came in because we take their fingerprints. Ireland is the slowest country in the EU for putting in details into the ID data system across Europe. We can see, do these people within the EU have a criminal record? Mass immigration of unvetted males is destroying our country, the security of our country. It's also putting up the cost of houses and rents beyond the reach of normal people. And our best people, many of our young people, are emigrating. They're not emigrating to the EU. They don't go to Germany in great numbers. They don't go to Belgium in great numbers. No, they go to English-speaking countries like Australia, like Canada, like the UK. They don't go. So what's the benefit of free movement for Irish people? There's very, very little. but it basically has open borders with 440 million people, which is destroying the social fabric, safety and economics of our country. Have open borders. It's dangerous, it's unnecessary, and really, we just can't afford it. It's in Stephen's Day today. Well, I hope you've had a good 2023. We look forward to the next year. And you know what? Don't rise to the silly implication by the government that it's far right in Ireland. It's not. It's just normal people, concerned parents, worried about the future of their country and their children in Ireland. Because they can see the streets are less safe and their children, it's almost impossible to buy a house. And you know what? We need to move towards a situation where there's a future for our children in our own country. So my name is Herman Kelly. I'm president of the Irish Freedom Party. Guru Magatha.